Hey, I'd like to welcome you to another episode of Mission Matters. My name is Adam Torres, and if you'd like to apply to be a guest on the show, just head on over to missionmatters.com and click on Be Our Guest to apply. All right, so today is a very special episode. This is probably two and a half years in the making. I finally got Dave Noll on the show. He is the TV show creator of 60 plus TV series, and he's also a creator of the Chopped franchise, which we all know and love. And I'm proud to announce Dave has just released a new book, The Visionary in Charge, 7 Simple Rules, because just one extraordinary idea can change your life. Dave, hey, long time in the making. I'm so happy to have you back on the show, and we finally get to talk about your book. Welcome.
And Dave Noll is a huge Mission Matters fan and a huge Adam Torres fan. So thank you very much. This is awesome.
All right, Dave. So we got a whole lot to talk about today in the book, and there's just
I just want to know your questions. I'm so excited.
So many nuggets here. Well, we're going to start this episode the way that we start them all, with what we like to call our Mission Matters Minute. So Dave, at Mission Matters, our aim and our goal is to amplify stories for entrepreneurs, executives, authors, experts, and entertainers. That's what we do. Dave, what mission matters to you?
Really, to me, the goal is, and it seems so simple to say, but the goal is to inspire people. What I've noticed is selling a TV show is so crazy hard. The only way to sell a TV show is to come up with some sort of very short, very inspirational way to describe that show, to pitch that show. And you have to do it again and again and again through the course of the development, through the course of the pilot, through the course of the production, until you get that show on the air. And that's what people say. They say, Dave, you inspire us, and that's why we give you all this money to make TV shows. So that's my goal.
Amazing. So great having you on. And I want to dive right into the book. People are going to get to know about your background as we go through the book and as we kind of unveil, step by step what you wrote about. And we're going to jump all around the book. So this isn't a linear interview. And for everybody listening, I'm only going to give you maybe a couple spoilers I'm going to bring out of Dave, but I want you to pick up a copy of the book. So don't worry, there'll be a couple of little spoilers in there that I want Dave to elaborate on, because I'm curious. And I guess just to get us kicked off here, what inspired you to finally get the book out? Because I've been talking to you about this for years now. And what was the impetus? What was the moment where you're like, all right, this has to happen?
I just, there was a point where the genesis for the book was, there was a point where my partner Cleve and I used to pitch shows on a yacht in the south of France. And I know that sounds completely bonkers and completely crazy, but it was true.
When I was reading that section, I was like, oh, poor guy. I see, Dave. Yeah, it's been a rough life. Go ahead. So rough.
It's grueling. You have no idea. There was a point in time where we worked with Barry Diller, who's a billionaire. He started the Fox network. He greenlit The Simpsons and Married with Children and Beverly Hills 90210 and all those shows. And then he at one point he ran Paramount Pictures. At one point he ran the USA Network, and he built this amazing career. And he's a billionaire. And so we worked with him, and he basically said, look, what you guys do is so unique and so special. You could create the next Wheel of Fortune, the next Family Feud, the next Voice or America's Got Talent. What I'm going to do is, there's this TV festival twice a year in Cannes in France, right on the water. I'm going to get you a yacht, and I want you to take one show and pitch it 10, 10:30, 11, 11:30, 12, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
And that schedule's in the book, by the way. He has a printout of this in the book. And I was so proud when I saw it, because I was like, this is what I'm talking about. You went as an author a step further and you showed people. Continue. I just want the audience to know, that's in the book. He's not exaggerating. Go ahead.
Yeah. And what would happen is, if you hit it right, if you hit a great idea, you'd be pitching to executives from France at 11. And then at 11:30, it would be executives from Japan. And then at noon, it would be people from Denmark or Sweden or whatever it is. And over the course of 4 days, that idea would become more and more and more popular. And so they would bring other executives, and then by day 3, you'd have a time slot and you'd say, hey, can we just let as many people in as possible? And they would say yes. And you'd pour some rosé, or you'd pour some coffee, or whatever it was, depending on the time of day. And you'd pitch this game show again and again and again. And you'd have this amazing moment after 3 or 4 days of this, where you're just exhausted and you're trying to write all these notes. You have all these notes. And I was going through on the final day, we were on the upper deck drinking rosé. And we were going through all of our notes, and we took a bit of a break. And it was in that moment where I said to myself, Dave, you've learned so much about how to create these brands and bring them to life around the world. Chopped is now over 1,000 episodes. Chopped Canada, Chopped South Africa, Chopped Dubai is on season 3. And it's become a big thing. Creating these brands, this is a series of steps, a series of rules that people should learn about. And so I just started writing all these stories down on these colored note cards. What about this story? What about this story? What about this story? Oh my gosh, there's this thing Barry Diller told me. There's this thing that you learned from Walt Disney's nephew. There's this story you learned about Oprah. There's this story about I worked once with Tom Cruise. You have all these stories. And then as I would go through the note cards, these rules became very, very obvious and very clear. And so that's where the 7 rules come from. So as I say, more than anything, I hope it inspires people, whether you want to create TV shows, or whether you want to create a new website, or whether you want to create content for YouTube. There's concrete rules that you can follow.
Yeah. And I looked at, and I thought it was super interesting, because you had, when I was thinking about you putting together the content that you were going to do. So correct me if I'm wrong. I don't know how many you said it was in the book though, like 24 notebooks, like every time you did a pitch, every time you did something, you have a whole shelf of notebooks. So when I was thinking about how you could possibly, all of us say, I don't care, anybody that's written a book or anything like that. I mean, I've interviewed hundreds and hundreds of people, and we talk about, all this knowledge is in our head. So getting the knowledge out of your head is hard enough, but like, how did you decide what content you were going to put in there? Because you just you've always written these notebooks just for your personal business. Like, how did you decide?
Whenever I have any meetings, so even now, whenever I have anything, I
always see you write, by the way. Now I know we've had a couple meetings, and I always see you writing in that, or in a notebook. You're going down when we're on Zoom and you're writing in something. Now I have context. Now I'm in my head. I'm like, is that number 28, number 30? What notebook is this one going in, Dave? And
I've always done it. And I have little, indications. I have a light bulb if there's an idea that I have that's important. If it's something that the person is saying, so when I'm talking to you and you say something brilliant, which you very often do, I star it, or I double star. Or
so if you're not writing and somebody's doing a call with you, there's a problem. Go.
You know the answer. He's bored. He's really bored.
He has it written. Now I got a goal. Thanks.
And I went back through all of those notebooks. I think at this point I probably have more. I probably am over 30, maybe 29. And I have all these black and brown notebooks that are all this same size that I've been doing for years. I went through all of those notebooks, and those stories, all those things I've learned, as I say, when it was good, when I was like, I got to tell this story, I would put it on a colored note card, put it in the stack. And as I say, once I started going through them, these rules emerged. And then there's stories. My brother read the book, and he called and he said, you didn't put the Martin Scorsese story in the book. And I said, I know. I just didn't.
There's a Martin. Well, you had all the other ones. There's just so many. But yeah, thank you.
I was stuck in a stairwell once with Martin Scorsese. It's another story altogether. But that did not make the book.
Oh man. Well, I do want to give the audience a little bit of a flavor for the book and like some of the lessons in there. So I want to pull out one story in particular that just, I'm telling you, change for the business owners, for the entrepreneurs out there. I don't know if this is the story that's going to do it for you, but I'm telling you, the book has life-changing moments in it. I spent a whole weekend kind of preparing for this interview, and I was pretty exhausted from the standpoint of there was so much for me to think about as an entrepreneur. And I don't mean just in creating content, but I mean as an entrepreneur. So the one I want to talk about, Dave, you might know where I'm going with this, but the lemonade stand. I was like, I want to build out at least one story. We're not going to do too many spoilers here because I want people to pick up the book. But that one, Dave, when I have empathy, it's a big theme in my life. And I'm just telling you, I felt your pain. Like, I think when I was done reading that, my mouth was literally open. I put the book down and I was like, I need some air. I had to go out to my balcony. I think I might even poured myself a cup of coffee after that. Like, I was feeling the pain. I'm like, man, that was supposed to be an easy win. Tell the lemonade story, please. The lemonade stand.
And that's the thing, when you've had this kind of crazy career like I've had, you have these moments that do change everything. And that's I was like, that was one of the first things I wrote down. Obviously, it had to be in the book. So we were working with Barry Diller, and we hadn't been there very, very long. He had a production company in Los Angeles, and then we ran all the creative and all the sales for his production company in New York. And so we're there. It's only been about 3 or 4 months. Cleve and I have this awesome idea for a show. And it all came together so fast. This never happens in TV. TV always takes forever. Years, 2 years, 3 years. But in this particular case, we had this amazing idea for the show. And we had what we thought was the perfect talent, and they were only one phone call away. We had worked with this person before. And we had what we thought was the perfect network for it, the perfect buy. And so we called up the talent. The talent immediately responded, got their team on with us the very next week. Then we called up a couple of key places to pitch. We went on one practice pitch, which was another potential buyer, but a potential buyer that we didn't love as much. And then we got to the buyer, pitched the show, and they bought it straight to series. So usually in TV.
So this never happens, like you said. Like, this is like.
It's maybe happened 3 times to us ever, where it's, usually some sort of development deal, or there's casting, or there's a pilot, or it's so. Chop took 2 years to get on the air. America Says took 2 or 3 years to get on the air. This was almost immediate. We went in and pitched. They loved it. And we said, because we knew it was good, you have to go right to 10 episodes. And they said yes. And so, Adam, it was so my job was to go in once a month and tell Barry Diller and the board, and it's this scary group.
I was scared reading it because of the buildup. When the readers, when you listen to this, you're going to hear how Dave also shares how he met Barry Diller, like everything around that. I mean, there's story after story. Continue. I just want the readers to know, like, he tells this story in the book. Go ahead.
It's a terrifyingly
I was scared
room. It's this gigantic conference room in New York. You can see the Hudson River out the window. It's all these, as I say, lawyers, money people. They're all there. And my job is to go and present, here's what we're doing. And then on the screen is Barry's partner, just the scariest dude you've ever seen in your life. That is the guy who they modeled Mr. Burns on. That literally... They met with that guy and they're like, well, he needs to be a character in the show. He's that scary and you're just terrified. But that day, I knew I had this goal and I knew I had a win, and I knew Cleve and I had done something that we just didn't think we could do. We were thinking big, and I talk about this in the book. We thought of ourselves at that moment as big thinkers. We thought big. We had this idea. We had the perfect talent. We made the sale. Each episode's $600,000, $700,000. We got 10 episodes. It's a deal right away in the millions, obviously. And so
you're supposed to go in this meeting and be a rock star, basically.
I looked amazing. I had my best suit on. My wife was like, whoa, what's going on today? You look fantastic. And I was so happy. Cleve was so happy. The whole team was so impressed. And we had these printouts. This is the way Diller likes to work. You do these colored printouts of the whole plan for the show so he can leaf through it as you go. And I even put gold binder clips. That's how cocky I was. I was like, let's go with the gold. We don't want the black binder clips.
Wow.
And so I go through the entire presentation. This just, I paint the picture, not only of the show, but of the whole success and how great this was and how rare it is. And they're all taking notes. They're all very serious. No one wants to say anything until he says something, obviously. Yeah. And he's leafing through and he says, why are we doing this again?
Ouch.
And I laughed.
When I read that, I'm like, come on, man.
I literally laughed at billionaire Barry Diller at his face because I didn't know what else to do. And I was just and I hit a couple bullet points and I knew something was going wrong, but I
know he understood it, but I don't have anything else to say.
I didn't know what else to do. And so I summed it all up again in 30 seconds. And he took the pile of papers and slid it across this giant dark wood table. And as I say in the book, I can still hear the gold binder clip slide across the table. And he said, he looked at me. Now, wait, can I curse on the Mission Matter?
You can.
So he looked and he looked me dead in the eye and he said, it's a fucking lemonade stand.
When you said that,
and I was absolutely shocked.
My heart.
And then he just destroyed it. He dismantled it. He basically said, I know this talent. I know this buyer. And he said, I know this type of show. This type of show is only going to last 2 seasons, 3 seasons. You can't do a version in France. You can't do a version in Italy, a version in Australia, a version in Dubai. This is only going to make X dollars per season. He's like, I'll give you the benefit of the doubt. It lasts 3 seasons. I know how much this costs to make. Grand total, you're going to make us $4 million. I'll give you the benefit of the doubt. $5 million. It's a fucking lemonade stand. It just destroyed me because basically everything we had created up until that point, I was depressed. I went back upstairs to our giant development space. And we had this huge room with this giant whiteboard with, I have the number there. I think it was like 84, 86 different shows, all on this huge board, gigantic board, 86 shows on it. And I said, Cleve, I'm really sorry. Here's what happened. And then I erased every show that wasn't the lemonade stand. And we were left with 8 shows.
Wow.
What it taught me is we were thinking big. We were thinking as big as Cleve Keller, not a billionaire, and Dave Noll, not a billionaire, not a genius, as big as we possibly could. And we're talking to Barry Diller, who knew in depth how valuable a Wheel of Fortune or a Family Feud. And so he said, he destroyed me. But then over the course of the next couple of weeks, he said, look, you and Cleve were brought in to create the next Wheel of Fortune. You have the unique ability to create the next Survivor, the next America's Got Talent, the next House Hunters, the next Price is Right. Do that. Don't do anything else. Because you would say it takes the same amount of time to make your crappy $6 million as it does to make hundreds of millions of dollars. So don't bring me a show ever again unless you see a clear, obvious path to over $100 million globally. And it changed everything we've ever done ever since that day.
Yeah. What was Cleve's response when you came back? I feel like I can even ask questions about Cleve because I feel like I know you, Cleve, if you're watching this, but even though we've never talked, but I've always heard her name out of your mouth, obviously, whenever we talk, because that's your partner there. But how did she feel? I was trying to put myself in her shoes.
I'll say this. Cleve is what I describe Cleve as this popcorn popper, this fireworks display of ideas. And that she has this crazy unique ability that I have never seen before. And I've been doing this now for 20 years. I've never seen anyone have this level of creativity. We can get an assignment from Netflix can Zoom with us and say, here's what we want. We want a dating show targeted exactly this person, but we don't want it here. We want it here. We want it set on an island. We want it set in the mountains. They can say whatever they want. Cleve can come back Monday. Like, I might have 6 ideas if in a great weekend. Like, I would go through all of our old stuff. I'd dissect other shows that we've done. I'd put the pieces back together into these very carefully. Cleve would have 36 ideas in a week, 45. And that's her level of creativity. She is just unbelievable. But the really interesting thing about her is, even more than me, she has this New Yorker attitude. So even though she's from Maine and I'm from the Nowheresville, New Jersey, the farm country, Jersey, she has this New Yorker, very tough attitude where she can flip and just be like, I get it. I'm totally in. He's right. We're wrong.
Wow. So she just, like, the amount of trust and insight there, and just to be able to pivot on a dime like that.
We still say to this day,
me and you were in our emotions, and I say me not because I was there, but when I was reading the book, I was in my emotions, man. Cleve's like, I get it. He's right.
He was literally very quickly was like, he's right. This is exactly. And there's an excitement in her because she was like, he knows this much better than we do.
For sure.
100 million. That was her bang. Let's do this. Stop crying. Let's not do, there's no sorrow here. Let's just go and move. And that's, to this day, that's what we did. That it is why before we worked with Diller, we had done 80 episodes of TV or 150 or whatever. Now we're up to 3,700. That's all related to that guy.
Yeah. And I think, the business owners, the entrepreneurs, that executives that listen to this, like, obviously at Mission Matters, we create content. That's a given. But when I was thinking about applications, even of like in my past, I'm like, wow, how many businesses was I involved with? How many things did I do? How many things did I spend time on that were never going to hit my goal? But I spent my time or money or effort on. And it's like, wow, if you had that right mindset in the first place and knew what the goal was, and if you had the right input and the right influence, it's like, man, how much time could you save, right?
And so often we take these small steps, and there are definitely times to take small steps.
Yeah.
What Diller was essentially saying is, with what you all do, what is the biggest example? What is the start there and aim there. What's the biggest money-making television show in history? It's things like, yes, it's Seinfeld, but it's not The Sopranos. It's not Game of Thrones. The biggest money-making shows in history are things like Wheel of Fortune and Family Feud and American Idol and America's Got Talent. These things make, in the course of their lifetime, $1 billion. Wheel of Fortune started in the 70s or the 60s.
Wow.
He started ages ago. Family Feud started in the 70s. Like, these are things that are still on. It makes a ton of money. The Today Show, the Tonight Show. These are the types of brands you want to start.
I want to talk about another concept that you talk about in the book that I didn't get it. Like, we met, over the course of some years, and you'd always go back to this point. Like, it was always a starting point. And I was thinking about it from the context of our conversation.
I'm so excited to what is he going to talk about?
Then I was thinking about it from the context of businesses as well. And now I've become a title snob. Everything I look at, I'm looking at titles now for everything. And you always told me, you're like, well, what's the title? What's the title? Give the concept of like how important a title is in the show and in creating the show, because now I see it in everything. I'm telling you, I see it everywhere, and I'm like, I'm over here trying to rank and rate. Are these the right? This title might be, and obviously I am an unqualified person to make those judgments. But the title, what's in a title?
It's when you're creating a TV show. I've heard executives say just the dumbest things. They'll say, well, the title doesn't matter. And you're just like, are you kidding me? Do you know how many?
I've said that to you. Just so you know, you don't remember this, but I remember our first conversation. I remember it very clearly. And I'm for the audience. You were telling me about, like, we're talking about shows, we're talking about things, and I'm thinking about, like, even what we're doing, and you're like, but what's in the title? What does it mean? And I'm like, the title doesn't matter. It's just what I've said that to you. I'm sure you don't remember, but continue. So I have said the dumbest thing. Now, after I read it, I retract it. The title is everything. Continue, please.
So sometimes we have sold shows based on title alone. Wow. And so that has led me to think, so the way we look at it is we work extremely hard on titles. I have a list right now on my computer that's more than 70 pages.
70 pages, not lines, 70 pages, and then small font, because this is in the book.
And it's there. It's title. And then when it's great, we highlight it. So we have it, and I can just kind of rattle through. And it's separated into different types of shows: adventure shows, cooking shows, dating shows, etc., game shows. And what we have realized is there are 4-star titles that they can sell the show alone. And then there's 3-star titles, which are at least great, and you're fine. Like, but there are titles out there, like the show 24. That is such a great title. First of all, people love numbers. It makes you go, what is that about? And then you hear the hook. The hook is there's 24 episodes, and each episode's an hour, and it's one day in this guy's life. He's a spy. He works for the government, whatever it is. It is so compelling and immediate and brilliant. Saturday Night Live is a great title, not only because it's descriptive, and this is the mistake a lot of people make. Oh, well, it's great because it describes the show. It's on Saturday nights and it's live. Yeah. But it doesn't just tell you the description of the show. It tells you the feeling of the show. There's an energy to Saturday Night Live where even if you've never seen it and you didn't know what it was, you just know, like, how do you feel on a Saturday night? Yeah. If you're 22 years old, right? If you're 18, if you're 20, you're on top of the world on a Saturday night. And so Saturday Night Live, those words just jump out at you. And it's really obvious when people make just gigantic mistakes. And like the one I talk about, there was a show, there was soap operas back in the day. One was called Edge of Night, and one was called The Search for Tomorrow. And Tom Cruise does this amazing, awesome science fiction action movie. Is, I think, one of the greatest sci-fi action movies of all time. And it's called, when it came out, I think it was called Edge of Tomorrow. It's such a bad title that people never remember this movie. And you know it's bad because in the interviews before the movie came out, the stars couldn't remember the title. So that's
if you can't even remember the title of the movie.
If you're in Die Hard, you don't forget Die Hard. If you're in Lethal Weapon, you don't forget Lethal. If you're in The Matrix, you know you're in The Matrix. Yeah. If you're in a movie called Edge of Tomorrow and the stars are going, so the reason why I chose Edge of Night is because, and you're like, no, the poster's behind you. It's called Edge of Tomorrow. So they knew it was bad. And basically the producers realized when the movie came out and in all those focus groups, saying, I can't remember it. I can't remember it. It's so lame. Edge of Tomorrow. Yeah. Just what's the feeling you get? The edge of is a if that was like a I don't know, a lame 70s love song. Yeah. I love you till the edge of tomorrow. That's
what it makes me feel.
But an epic science fiction action movie. So when they put out the DVD, one of the taglines for the movie was "Live, Die, Repeat." They knew it tanked. So when they put the DVD out, and any marketing you see to this day, it's now called "Live, Die, Repeat," and in very small font they say "Edge of Tomorrow." But there's an example of it. If as a person who creates and a person who works in show business, I'm so offended on behalf of the thousands of people that worked on that movie, right? Or 1,000 people worked on that movie. That should have been a huge movie. And instead it was fine. I talk about The Town, which is this Ben Affleck movie that people don't remember.
Oh, I have to see that one now because I feel like more people are going to see The Town because you wrote about it. Actually,
The Town is one of these great action-packed, edge-of-your-seat crime movies that could have been nominated for an Oscar in multiple categories, and it's called The Town. It's
the way you described it in the book, I was cracking up. I was like, you're right. It does feel like this small town, cute, quaint, like whatever. It's not about Boston or about.
It's literally like a middle school play. Like, oh, what play are you in, Sally? Oh man, it's called The Town. It's about our town. Like, and it's this insane. It's got Oscar winners in it. It's this amazing movie. And The Town did not do well. And I would imagine it's because it's called The Town.
I've been taking a poll of my friends or anybody I talk to, and I'm just trying to find somebody that's seen it now. I'm like, did you watch The Town? And they're like, what is that? Like, if they did see it, like I'm taking a poll and I'm going to continue to do it. It's just one of my things now. So I want to find somebody that saw it. And if they saw it, they don't remember it because they don't remember the title.
So I went like a crazy person. I went through 30 or 40 years of TV, movie, books, and song titles. Went through all these hits, only the hits. And then I listed words you see again and again and again and again. And I said, if you're titling anything, use one of these words. And so there's just gigantic list of words. The royalty, people love king or queen. America, they love the word secret. Everybody loves. There's words you see in hits again and again and again.
And this is all in the book. So for everybody that's watching and listening, just so you know, like in the book, Dave breaks down. He's got a list there. I'm pulling some of your words already. I'm like playing with titles. I actually, and you don't know this, Dave, I was saving this to tell you on this. I have my creative team reading your book. I think at this point I've purchased at least 10 copies of your book. Chirag, the other co-founder here, he's reading it. Jeff Norriscog, he's reading it. Matt Cook, director of podcast agency, he's reading it. Jennifer's traveling right now, but when she comes back, this has become required, kinda. I won't say required because we don't require anything in our company, but this has become highly suggested reading within our company. And we're and the other co-founder, his goal is to have this done in the next 2 weeks. We have a first weekend of May meeting where we're going to do a deep dive based off of the book and kind of overview everything that we're doing at Mission Matters. That's how strongly we believe in your book also what you're teaching in there. So this isn't for everybody watching, like, can't make this up. Like, and I'll give you some plans here just so you know, Dave, because I want this documented because it is the truth. After you're reading your book and after that lemonade stand story and after some of these other things, I gave Chirag the high level reviews, but now we're going to start focusing on making some hit shows. So we have some other things coming out down the line, and that might sound odd if somebody's watching, like, what do you mean? Well, we've always focused on, our Mission Matters content, which we love, and we focus on all of that, but we've never really considered something outside of the brand of Mission Matters, which again, we don't have to do that. But why would we want to do that? Because we think there's other stories that need to be told. There's other concepts. There's other people that we want to feature. So all of that started, though, after I was like, you know what? There's more here. And then I was thinking like, there's a lot more in here and there's a lot more that we can do. So I'm excited. So I think our creative team and everybody else, they'll probably be done with this by the end of May with their sections in the book. So there's going to be way more coming. So when I think about the business owners, the entrepreneurs, the executives that are watching this, first, all the leaders out there, CEOs, C-suite, grab a copy, read it. If you feel what I felt when I read it, this is not just an entertainment book. I know we've been talking about that a lot right now, but it's not just an entertainment book. It's really an exercise in creativity. There's framework. I hope Dave has a coaching program coming out down the line because I think it's definitely needed. I think I bet he's got workshops and other things that he's planning or down the line. I know right now he's on the book tour, and there's so many stories that maybe we didn't have time to cover today. Talks about, but I'm going to leave a couple of teasers for the audience here. We got Walt Disney's story going on the lot, talking to Walt Disney. We got Taylor Swift. How does Taylor Swift play into this? If you don't think she does, well, she does. Taylor Swift's story, and so much more. Dave, final question for you here today. If there had to be, and this is an unfair question for any author, but I like to do it to them. I don't care. If there was one takeaway out of the book that you hope your readers walk away with, takeaway, it could be a specific, it could be a feeling. Like, what do you hope that would be?
It's funny because I didn't know what it was. People would ask that question, and I had a terrible answer. It was so long and boring, and I knew it was a bad answer. And my friend, one of my friends, because we've worked with her before, is Carney Wilson from the band Wilson Phillips. And Carney has this amazing personality where she is just pure energy and pure creativity. Yeah. And she's brassy and ballsy and just a ton of fun. And so she asked me the question. She was like, what do you want people to take away? And I gave her this horrible answer. And I'm giving her the answer, and I'm 90 seconds, 2 minutes, 2.5 minutes in. And she goes, stop, you're effing boring me. You're effing wrong. Except she didn't say effing. And she said, the book is to inspire you more. That's what every page is. You're gonna, if you're an entrepreneur, if you're a content creator, if you're a creator, she's like, you have been doing it for such a long time. You forget that the whole thing about you, your energy, it's to inspire. And she said, she's like, what I love about you is you're so effing smart, and you're so effing sweet, and you're so effing stupid. And it's all in the same package. And so she killed me. But she was like, that's the thing. You want to inspire people.
Yeah. Well, I think you're going to accomplish that and so much more. If the people that are watching or listening, if they want to connect with you, if they want to follow the journey, how do people do that? How do they grab the book? Amazon, your website? Like, give us a feel for how people do that.
So you can get the book on Amazon or Barnes & Noble right now. If you would like an autographed copy, my website is davenolltv.com. So DAVENOLL.tv.com. And everybody really connects with me on LinkedIn. So I'm on Facebook, I'm on Instagram, but LinkedIn is where people connect and they reach out. And I try to get back to as many people as I possibly can.
Amazing. And for everybody listening, just so you know, we'll put Dave's website and all that good stuff in the show notes, so you can just click on the links and head right on over and check it out. And speaking of the audience, if this is your first time with Mission Matters and you haven't done it yet, hit that subscribe button. This is a daily show. Each and every day we have new episodes coming out for you, and we don't want you to miss a thing. And Dave, again, this has been such a pleasure. Can't wait to continue to watch your journey and to watch this book continue to be successful, gain more momentum, because I know I'm going to hear your name everywhere. So thank you.
Thank you so much. You guys are so smart.